The BS3 Network.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in,
man. You know, focus. I said, get your shit together, focus, man.
I am. Hold on, something. What's up with the Facebook?
What?
It says they're having trouble streaming the Facebook, so I don't know. That looks like a StreamYard situation. But welcome again to the forecast. We do this every Monday at the same time, 8:30 Central. 7:30 or 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific time. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Before we get into the show, I do want to say thank you for everyone that watched, participated, presented at the BS3 Network Awards, the 4th annual. It was a blast. It was bigger than what we could have imagined it was going to be. So thank you everybody that contributed and helped. We appreciate it greatly. And on to the next. We starting today. I'm already thinking in my head what the 5th is going to look like. So thank you, everybody.
Nice.
All right. So we got A-Trap in the building. We got King Doc. We got Wilkes. Everybody is here and accounted for. So tonight's review.
I'm back in my proper space in the ghetto down there with Wilkes.
Out in the bottom.
So before we get started, I want to tell Wilkes about something. So I was in Total Wine and More picking up, some supplies for the honeys,
Yeah.
And I saw this limoncello. I didn't know it was a liqueur at the time. I just saw a limoncello bottle.
Wow.
And so I'm a sucker for a display, and the bottle looked good, and I'm like limoncello, and I've had it at a Italian restaurant before, and it was fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to get. So I get that. It's a reasonable price. I asked him how much is this? It was a reasonable price. I'm like, yeah, go ahead and throw that in, and put it in the freezer.
Yeah.
Let it get ice cold. It didn't freeze because it is 28.9% alcohol by volume.
It's not going.
And so I poured myself a shot of it this past weekend.
Yeah.
And it did not taste like limoncello. And then I read the bottle. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And that's when they said it's a liqueur and whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to have to doctor it up. But 28.9% alcohol by volume, I can't just throw that away.
See, there's another limoncello where it's literally like it's only for mixing purposes, but it's not a liqueur. And they actually have a recipe called the wedding cake, and man, it's pretty damn spot on.
I knew I was coming to the right place.
It's pretty damn spot on, and I'll have to find you the brand, the one that I had used if you're interested.
Yeah.
I'll have to shoot that to you.
Right on. Okay, Ben, as you were.
Yes.
What's up, A-Trap?
It's good, man. It's good.
In the library
let's go around. Let's go around the horn. A-Trap, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm good. I'm making it.
I hear you. As long as you're here another day on this side of the dirt, like the old people say.
Better to be seen than viewed.
Yeah.
All right, Wilkes, what you got in the cup tonight? I heard the ice.
Nothing special tonight. Just a tall whiskey sour or a double whiskey sour. That's it.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, can't go with it. I prefer amaretto sour, but I'll accept it if that's all you got.
Yeah, I didn't have amaretto.
Yeah,
I'll change that this weekend. Oh, by the way, I guess I shouldn't be announcing this, but I picked up the pork shoulder because you sent me a recipe.
Oh yeah.
So stay tuned.
Hey, you straight with Macho Man on this. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Snap into a Slim Jim.
I didn't forget that recipe. It's been stuck in my head. So I just got to get the bread and the fixings.
Cool.
All right, Doc. You kind of already talked, but
Yeah, I'm fantastic, man. A little sleep deprived after the award show last night, but it was a blast. I had a certain vision for what I thought it was going to be, and for it to turn out the way that it did, man. I mean, let me just say this: from the warm up, from the sound checks, we was when I say it was lit from the sound checks, I had to, the pastor, which is my cousin, I had to ask him. I said, "We good?" So you didn't have a Christian rapper. He goes, we good. I done had a Christian rapper in there, and matter of fact, the Christian rapper that he knows happened to know some of the Christian artists that we had in there. So, but it was, man, like Barry White used to say, it was a stone cold gas, my man.
Right on.
All right. So those tuning in on Facebook, I don't know what's going on. It could possibly be going in and out. Looks like a StreamYard issue, but wherever you're tuning in, we thank you. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're also on BS3 TV on Roku. So to the chat, what's up? Keisha in the building said sorry that she missed it last night. It's all good. It's available to watch. That's a good thing about what we do. So Amazing Grace, what we're reviewing tonight. It is a documentary. I believe it was 2018 or 19. Aretha Franklin sung at a church in Los Angeles, and it was a live taping. She sung Amazing Grace, but she's also sung a variety of other songs. But the title of this is Amazing Grace. So Sydney Pollack directed it. He was with Warner Brothers. So right off the gate, and kind of getting through some initial thoughts, I'll get into mine. There was a lot that was put into this. This wasn't like we're just gonna do a live recording. They had James Cleveland, Aretha Franklin had her father there, had a lot of the production was so high quality that they wanted to really put this together well. And I felt like it was well done. Also seeing some of the background. James Cleveland is a comedian. Now, if you are a gospel artist or a pastor, you got to have a little bit of comedian in you. Cleveland definitely had that. I haven't watched anything with him in it to this degree, so for me, I was pretty cool and excited to watch it. So, A-Trap, Mr. Thought.
Oh yeah, I thought it was very well done. A lot of thought put into it. I was impressed that it was a Spike Lee joint as well.
Yeah,
when it comes on, you see it's a Spike Lee joint. It just shows that it's kind of like with the whole knowing of your history and the subjugating of our history at this point. I wonder how much more music is being suppressed, or how much more information is being suppressed about people, places, and things in our past. Because last year we did Summer of Soul, and nobody knew about that. This was just sitting in somebody's vault for 40 years, almost 50 years. Well, 50 years. And this is the same. It was just sitting around. It's in 2018. Spike Lee and his people pulled it up and brought it to the world. And then you got to showcase one of the greatest talents in the history of entertainment. So it was something I could really appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was going to ask you, when you seen that Spike Lee, were you shaking your head at all? Were you a little worried?
Yeah. No. I mean, Spike Lee, a quality man. He high quality. He the Godfather, man. Think about it, man. You got Mario Van Peebles' dad, Melvin Van Peebles. I always think of this dude. I can see his face. I think of it in a minute. These people who were doing it and then fell off early 80s, let's say 78 to about 86 when She's Gotta Have It came out. And Spike Lee carried black cinema for a very long time. Yeah. And all the guys who are doing great film, they all attribute, they credit Spike Lee for inspiring them. So Spike Lee, the man, no matter what me and him had on Twitter.
the beef, it's in the past, though. We put it in the past. Also, since we are on A-Trap, let me give a shout out to End of the Bench Media on YouTube and on got you live on Twitch tonight. So those tuning in, we appreciate you for coming over.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not your Facebook feed. Facebook is tripping today. That's why I'm on Twitch.
Yeah. All right, Wilkes.
Hey, that's me. I thought it was done very well. I mean, a lot of that, of course, took me back to churches that I grew up in and visited. But that production, and he mentioned something about TV. So I wonder if it ever aired on TV back then, because he mentioned getting, they were there preparing it for that.
Well, remember they said they claimed that there were some technical difficulties that destroyed some of the stuff that they were going to use for it. So that's why it wasn't able to be done back then. That's what they said. Like I said, I don't know, but they said a lot of the TV prep stuff was destroyed, damaged somehow.
Okay. Yeah, and he did mention something about it. Also, they said like a glass of water had like spilled over. So.
With it.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy. But no,
that was weird. But they left that part in there, so that had some type of significance to it. So yeah.
I thought it was done well. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing I did have, this was gospel at its finest. If you want to watch the history of gospel, this was basically it right here in this documentary. All right, Doc.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do my little thing here and give the official plot. You kind of gave a bit of it. But in 1972, after a series of 11 consecutive hits, Aretha Franklin recorded Amazing Grace, the most successful gospel album of all time, at the New Temple Missionary Baptist Church in Los Angeles. This was released December 7th of 1918. He talked about some of the directors. Aretha Franklin did get a producer's credit as well. It did $7.8 million at the box office. Which had to be a pretty large profit, because you can tell based on how they shot it. It shouldn't have taken a lot to get this to the big screen. They did win an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Documentary Film, and then they were also nominated for the National Society of Film Critics Award for Best Nonfiction Film. For me, again, on an initial thought standpoint, I've never been so ready to review a movie or film. It was so raw. I loved it. The way they did this was, we just putting it out there. There wasn't a whole lot of editing that took place, or anything like that. So I love the raw nature, because it made you feel more like you were there.
Yeah.
And to H-Rap's point, when he talks about information, whether it be music or whatever that is suppressed out there, it reminded me of the thing that recently came up with Michael Strahan, going back to East Texas in Shankleville, the community that was formed by formerly enslaved people that were free at the end of the Civil War. And it's kind of connected to that 10 Million Names project that's out there and whatnot. Yeah. So, that's super inspirational. This was church, simple as that. This was church. And there were several moments to where I'm praising right along with them in this church, and tears are streaming, and it's fantastic, man. Fantastic.
And so, as y'all know, we had the award show last night. So I honestly was driving and watching / listening, and like Doc said, I was laughing at some points with the jokes. I was singing along at some points. I mean, this is something that if there is an album, I didn't look it up on and see, but if there's an album version of this is something you could let run.
Oh, there is. It's called Amazing Grace.
It's called Amazing. Yeah,
that's the album she was recording. This is a live recording. Oh, and one other thing too about this, in the plot they talked about the fact that this was after a series of 11 consecutive hits. Yes. But again, more forecast full circle stuff. Remember the Respect movie that we did, that Jennifer Hudson did, and they talked about the fact that she did this movie. I mean, they recorded this gospel album after several personal missteps, where she was struggling, so becoming from the church, she's going through all this stuff, this is where I'm going to go back to my roots, and when I say you could see it all over Aretha's face, man, she was so humble looking in this. She did not act like a superstar at all in this thing. She just acted like one of the congregation members who happened to sing, but you could see, for me, like I said, I noted to myself, I said, you can see the pain, you can see the joy, the innocence, the youth, the hope, the sadness, and love all wrapped up into one in Aretha, we were a little young for Aretha, so she wasn't necessarily in our wheelhouse to be super fans, kind of like that, But after watching this in conjunction with the Respect thing, she is shot up super, super high on my list of all-time greats, man. you know.
Yeah,
But
and her vocals,
yeah.
The vocal. I mean, it just looked easy. She didn't look like she was struggling.
Yeah.
It looked like she was straining. It didn't look like it was hard.
That's
and
how
she
you
looked
know.
young too. I was wondering how old she was.
Yeah,
because
20. Yeah, see, because remember on the Respect movie, I didn't walk away from that thinking she was young when she did that church thing.
Right.
I walked away thinking maybe this was after she had been in the industry for quite some time, and this was an older Aretha coming back, but she was still young at this point, you know. And as far as I'm concerned, because of what she did with this album and it shot the #1, and I can't remember the number they gave it in terms of, you know, how well it did from a critical acclaim standpoint. But it may be the reason, because she came back and touched that base, it may be the reason why her career the rest of the way did what it did, you know, because I think that put her on a completely different map as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Yeah. So it was the Southern California Mass Choir, which it sounded like that was James Cleveland's choir. Now, I thought James Cleveland, me and Wilkes were talking about this, not at work, but we were talking about this. I thought he was from the South. Wilkes thought he was from Chicago. Did anybody look that up and see where he's from?
I never looked it up.
Exactly. But I bet you H-Rap know.
Well, he's famous in Chicago. I don't know if he's from Chicago.
Okay.
Chef D, what's up?
I'm gonna look it up right now.
I mean, you know, he has church
here. He was born in Chicago.
Okay, yeah, I know he was big in Chicago. I didn't even look up where he was from. He has a church on 43rd in Princeton. One of my homeboys, Mayo, shout out to Mayo Chris. He was married by him, but that was it. Yeah. You know, I mean, be honest with you, I don't really. Even though I go to church on a regular basis now, and I do a lot of studying. I wasn't in church. I didn't pay attention to church from 1982 when my mother stopped making me go until 2008. Wow. So James Cleveland might have been a Cleveland Brown as far as I was concerned.
James Cleveland might have been James Brown. Huh?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up early, because you cannot talk about gospel music, story. You cannot tell the story of gospel music without James Cleveland having a chapter in it. And so for those of you who don't know, such songs as Peace Be Still, I Don't Feel No Ways Tired, and Jesus Is the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me, all James Cleveland. And hey, if you can't tell, he's a musician. He's an artist. He's just a talent, man. And even Reverend C.L. Franklin, which is Aretha's dad, who's a pastor as well, said she picked up some stuff from James Cleveland and said that was one of her mentors, you know. So Clara Ward, who was another gospel star in the building, who was one of Aretha's mentors, I don't know much about her, you know, but James Cleveland was one as well. And hey, remember when we were talking about doing this gospel month for the rest of the month? And I said we need to try to find something on James Cleveland. Had no idea he was in this. When I say I'm glad he was, since we couldn't find anything else, he's deserving of his own thing, man.
Not only was he in it,
he was Kirk Franklin before Kirk Franklin was Kirk Franklin.
Right. And not only was he in it, but he was really the MC. It was like, hey, we're gonna do this, we can do that. And one thing I wrote down is he said, if you're not hip to the spirit, you know, just do what you do then. I was loving his when he was talking. I was glued in because I was just intrigued on what he was going to say next. Because
how was the church not overflowingly packed? How was there any seats left in this?
I don't know.
I don't know if they was doing tickets,
unless they needed that on purpose. But how was it not overflowing? I mean,
Now, if anybody ever been to a church growing up, you know when the choir come in and they do that 2-step march, and when I seen that, I was like, "Here we go, baby." Here we go.
I said, "Why can't we
slow and everything?"
I was like, "Why can't we just walk in? Why can't we just hurry up and get?"
That ain't us. Too much time.
It's us. We don't ever do nothing.
Come on, think about it. As enslaved folks, we jam. You understand what I'm saying? Even in the middle of our oppression, you know that is the ultimate sign of you can't do what you want to do to us. You ain't gonna kill our spirit. You ain't gonna keep your foot. You ain't gonna keep us down. we gonna do what we do.
Oh yeah.
Even in the worst of circumstances, we still gonna praise. We gonna jam. We gonna sing. We gonna shit. It ain't because you can't. You can. Hey, what? It's almost tied to what your boy said when he said you can murder to liberate. You can kill the liberation, but you can't kill the liberate. You can. It's tied to that. You can kill whatever. But there you go. But you can't. This is us.
Right.
You know. So it's just, as far as I'm concerned, it is the quintessential example of we gonna be what we gonna be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And real quick on Clara Ward, I looked her up real quick. It says she had songs as Surely God Is Able, among the first million-selling gospel hits, How I Got Over. So she was, I was meaning to look up something to see if I could hear her voice, but obviously you see that she impacted Aretha Franklin and her father enough to say, you in the building. Let's bring you down.
Just because it was because back then and gospel wasn't mainstream just yet. And I dare say, I don't know anything about this. I don't have any statistics to back it up, but I dare say Aretha probably helped gospel get to mainstream, by having a successful secular artist come back and do a complete gospel album. She probably helped bridge the gap.
Right.
But go ahead.
Let me get to this comment about Mika. She said, we marched in, 2 to the front and 1 to the back. Took 10 minutes. Hey. Hey, that marching in, you might as well could have went to the car. You could have went to the store and came back. It would have still been marching.
Showtime, baby. You marching in. It's showtime.
But speaking of Clara Ward, did y'all see that part where this lady, I didn't know if she was shouting. She looked like she was trying to get to Aretha to fight or something. Did y'all see that?
Oh, I didn't see that
part of it. A-Trap, did you see that part? There's the lady, she had a streak down her hair.
Yeah.
A white streak down her hair. Yeah. And I think she was wearing red. She looked funny already, right? But at first, and everybody stood up and they were trying, but she was acting like she was trying to get to Aretha, from an aggressive standpoint. But later on, when they cut back to it, it was like, okay, maybe she was just shouting, and you know how sometimes you shout. You follow what I'm saying? But it was all eyes on her because even James Cleveland was pointing over there toward, a lot of people was up and they were standing. They were like, "Hey, what's going on over here?" And if for any of our Caucasian members who are watching right now, if you ain't never been to a black church, if it looked like a fight done broke out, it's not necessarily a fight.
Not a fight.
They might just be shouting. It get good. And we gonna form a circle around them so they don't hurt themselves or they don't hurt nobody else.
We're gonna form this hedge of protection.
Right. All right. What's up, Blue Streak?
Blue Streak.
Congratulations on your nomination.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We appreciate your support.
When I looked at that lady attacking, being aggressive, and like you said, we learned in the movie that she had a bunch of missteps with the abusive marriages, potentially being molested as a child.
Right.
I looked at that as a spiritual bond. I looked at that. You going back to your spirituality. I've been struggling too. Our spirits connect. Like they say, negative energy draws, positive energy draws. After everything you went through, you're gonna go back to God.
Yeah.
I went back to God too, and I gotta just touch you. That's what.
Yeah. I you know what? Spot on. I couldn't articulate it like that, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking something of that. Like she was trying to get to her. Like I got to put my hands on her. She just did it so aggressively. I couldn't tell if it was an aggressive way. It's like if you'd have just calmed the fuck down and just walked over there normally, you might have got to touch her.
Exactly.
We got the artist formerly known as Bonita A. Whitfield in the building. We are reviewing Amazing Grace. It is available on Prime Video. It's available on HBO Max, or now it's called Max. But it's available on a couple different platforms. So I highly suggest watching it. Thank you for tuning in.
When your album dropping, so we can let everybody.
I know. Yeah. Well, we can have you at the 5th annual. You can do the album release party and the award show at the same time.
Bring it on in.
We ready for you. We ready for you.
Even though we don't cut that shit down. We had you can't sing out to every damn award. Maybe sing out to every 2. That is a little too. I was jamming, but you cut it at the top 5 in this movie.
All right, when James Cleveland came up and he said, "All right, we could do this song called Holy Holy," written by Marvin Gaye. I did not know that. To me, that was a wow, she could literally sing anything. But the fact she had something from Marvin Gaye and he did it on this stage, I felt like was definitely significant.
Yeah. The sheer number, man, of secular artists, so-called secular artists that have gospel roots, especially back in the day. The percentage would probably astonish you if we knew exactly what it was. You know, whether it be Marvin Gaye, Al Green, all these folks, man, they come from the church. That's like where that used to be how black singers got discovered, wasn't it? Right?
Exactly.
It wasn't no
the record labels would come to the church.
It wasn't no The Voice. It wasn't no American Idol. It wasn't no,
That's why them solos on Sunday were important.
Yeah.
That's why they was fighting for them solos. I'm doing the solo. I'm doing it.
You know,
yeah.
None of that. You know, what was that show that cat did back in the day? He used to be on Johnny Carson all the time. That's it. Thank you for being right there with me. That's exactly right. Wasn't none of that back then. So, that's where they came from. You know, you don't think Etta James came up in the church somewhere singing? Oh, you know,
young too.
And guess what? The ones that didn't come up in the church came up in the juke joints, and they went to the juke joint after the church. Or
the funny thing is, James Brown tells a story about he didn't go in, but how he pulled up and would go to this church every Sunday and just sit outside in the parking lot.
Yeah,
when they would start to sing and play music.
Yeah,
he never went in, but he, you know, so there's some inspiration there.
Yeah, think about The Color Purple. She came from the juke joint because the juke joint lasted so long that the church choir was trying to out sing the juke joint people. You know, so she's like, we're gonna walk over here and tell you we sing this song better than you, girl. I started singing that song before you did. My dad had just put me out the church because I'm in this juke joint. You know, she came over there and out sung her with the song. So that's just what it is.
You're right. No, you're right.
Mika said, I always say all secular artists come from the church. They just find another avenue to get out to a bigger audience. And then their heart is where the church lives for them. They never forget. And that's a perfect segue to C.L. Franklin came up and he said, man, the dude was storytelling, telling jokes. I mean, that was like traditional pastor right there. But he was like, I went to the laundromat and a lady said, I seen your daughter over there and it was all right. And he was like, okay. He said, well, I'll be great when she go back to the church. And I said, well, she ain't never left. Never left. I mean, but that stories. Yeah. But that was a perfect segue into what we're talking about. That it's in you. No matter where you go, it doesn't leave just because you go to singing in a different.
Did you put that comment that Mika put up there? The last one.
See, Daddy singers got to sing too.
Got a song too. That's what she said at the end. Ooh, Lord. She must have came with the wrong thing. But no, she's doing. Let me just do a little on-air producing right now. She's trying to mess with some stuff. That's not a problem, is it? As long as we don't pop her on.
Yeah, well, as long as you don't change any other days or background. Okay, Lewis.
Of hours, right?
Yeah, well, if you change it at all, it's gonna change the
background. Okay.
Yeah, but look like she popped off already. All right, the afros, man, were flowing. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Almost everybody had afro in there.
Yeah. Correction. It was called a natural then.
Right there.
That was natural.
I'm just messing with you, but it was.
No, it was. I think I remember that because Afro didn't come till a little later.
Afro is,
and not everybody, because there was a couple of processes in there. Reverend C.L. Franklin.
It was. I had a couple slip backs in there. It was.
And how about this? I did not notice it until today when I was getting the specifics in terms of the plot and some of the ratings and awards and stuff. But a couple of times I'm watching this and I'm like, is that Mick Jackson?
I was thinking that same thing.
And sure enough, it was Mick Jagger.
I was like, that looked like him, but I know that ain't him.
Yep, that was him. Mick Jagger and Charlie Watts, they were in Los Angeles at the time. That's when they were recording Exile on Main Street. So, of course, they're a big Aretha fan. Aretha's a big Mick Jagger fan. So they were there. And when I say Mick Jagger, every time the camera was on him, Mick Jagger was like in it, he was like,
he was zoned in.
Even when he was standing up, he was trying to look around people and stuff like that. Like, hey, I need to see what's happening. I'm not just in here to so people can be all impressed that I'm in here. He goes, I'm here to see what y'all here to see, you know.
Right.
So that said a lot to me, man.
Yeah, that was like Richard that was here last night at the award show. It was him and Peter. That was the only two white folks in there. But
yeah.
But anyway, we appreciate all the white folks. Thanks for watching.
Wow.
We appreciate every last one of y'all. So James Cleveland comes up there and he's like, this is a taping. So if the camera comes to you, I need you to act like you in it. All right.
Right.
When it come, if you don't see me, that means I'm around trying to get on the camera. Man, it was, yeah, man. But and another thing he said was, hey, when this is a recording. So if you say amen on the first take, and we got to do it again, I need you to say amen again.
Right.
If we got to tape it again, I'm gonna need you to say amen again.
When that camera come around, it might not come back, so you better be on.
You better be on. Yeah,
you better be ready.
Yeah. And the outfits the whole choir was wearing, Doc, that made me think about with the whole choir.
Hey, did you see the clap that they were doing that was so similar to ours when they were doing the clap like that?
Yeah.
I was like, okay. We didn't just, this ain't, this wasn't no RGR. This wasn't no RGR inspirational. This was borrowed from somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, look just like ours. I'm like, hey, will you do that clap? They couldn't have stolen it from us. We must have stolen it from
Right. We went back. We reached back. We reached back and touched some of that old school.
We probably had a little twerk with ours, but we were getting it.
And the choir sang sitting down. Now I think they probably stood up at different times.
That's another thing I was thinking too. Being when we were in the choir, I don't care if it went 2 days, 2 weeks. We were standing up the whole time. Unless you pass out, or unless you in the spirit, you standing up and you clapping right here in the chest too. Right.
Ain't no low.
Side
note, real quick. Any place I go to and I see people clapping down here, I'll be like,
get your hands up. Get your hands up. And when there's a word you in the gospel, something, don't say chew. Don't say chew.
You better not. You better not.
Good evening.
Start this whole song over.
Tuning in.
Anisha Seals. Who is that? Do we know who that is?
That's
homegirl Shay.
Okay. What's going on? Thank you for tuning in. Are you related to Seal?
And his last name.
Yeah, Seal his first name.
Well, I don't know what Seal chose. Seal could have chose just to go by his last name. Y'all call me Doc sometimes. I mean, come on. Case in point, right? A-Trap, give me that.
Mika said, if I'm standing that long, I'm gonna catch the Holy Spirit and get a break. I said, hey, people did. They look left and they look right. They're like, all right, I'm see y'all in a minute.
She's gonna fall out in the spirit. Okay.
Look at that. Put this comment.
Laugh out loud. Nah.
I don't know.
And so they showed some of the rehearsal parts, which I like how they did a little transition. They were doing a rehearsal and then they brought it right into. And I was at the point I was driving, so I don't know how smooth the transition was, but it seemed smooth what I was hearing.
Right.
But A-Trap, anything you want to touch on with that? And
what struck me is different. And what it didn't strike me as different because I didn't I ever seen something like this before. But it was kind of dope that this was a 2-day event.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How you transition from a couple of days, and like Doc mentioned about the choir, and y'all was saying about how many people were coming. You know what? I don't think celebrities were a gigantic thing at this point in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You in LA and Rick Ross, the drug dealer, big time drug dealer, he mentions how Jim Kelly used to play. He was a world-class tennis player before he was a drug dealer. He mentions how Jim Kelly was in his neighborhood playing tennis with him. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you living in a neighborhood with celebrities, is Aretha Franklin coming to town that big a deal? They only a big deal when you don't see them. You know what I mean? Because remember, man, they ain't making hundreds of millions no more. These people probably making hundreds of thousands,
right?
Which was an insane amount of money. But
and
then you still deal with discrimination and things like that. So seeing a Muhammad Ali, seeing Aretha Franklin, seeing a James Brown would have been wonderful, but it wasn't jaw dropping.
Right?
Yeah. Security, I wonder too, was the security aspect where you gotta. entourage, you got 5 guys walking around you. Probably wasn't going on.
I didn't see that. Even like on pre-show stuff when she was doing her own makeup and stuff like that and stuff like that. She was just, and when she was waiting in the back to walk in, you know, you couldn't do that now. Have an artist like that at church somewhere waiting to walk in. And she gonna be back there by herself. Nah, ain't happening.
I don't know. When I was watching, I didn't really expect a Hollywood or celebrity presence. I just felt like it was kind of like H-Rap said, you know, oh, it's Aretha Franklin. You know, she feels like one of the family. You know, she one of us.
Yeah, and you know what? Based on where she was in her life, she probably a lot of that was orchestrated by her. You know, she was like, I'm trying to get back to my roots. You know, I done lost my way. You know, and matter of fact, even her daddy, that was a bit awkward during his speech where he was like, you know, she shouldn't have left the church in the first place. You know, stuff like that. It
was.
He didn't say it in a mean way.
Yeah,
but it's like he had to get it in. You know. Yeah. But I love the interaction between him and Aretha. Did y'all see how after he had even got an introduction where when the camera wasn't on her, she went down there and was like talking to him and stuff like that, and how she patted him on his knee and stuff like that, and how when she was doing it, when she was singing though, and he was wiping the hell out of her face, I bet she was like, "Get that towel off me!" And I'm trying to sing, and I'm trying to sing because I'm like he wiping hard, boy. You gonna wipe my mascara off?
You about to sell that napkin?
Right, exactly. Yeah, man, we got that in the back.
In a little while, I got this.
Yeah.
And then too, when she started over, I don't remember what song that was. Yeah, but I had a feeling that she was looking at her dad, and maybe her dad gave her a look, or she just felt like, all right, we need to start this over.
I thought it was her.
I think it was more of her, probably.
Yeah, she felt something, you know. Yeah. And I'm surprised that only happened once that we saw, because again,
I would say that we know
an album. That's what I say, that we were, because she was recording an album, you know.
Right.
But on the way, it did not look like they did a whole bunch of editing, man. You know,
they didn't look tired. They didn't look like we've been here all day. And James Cleveland set it up great. It was like, you know, y'all at the end of the first day, he was like, y'all better be here tomorrow. Now we could do this song, we could do this song. Yeah. I ain't gonna tell you what else we gonna do, but y'all better be here tomorrow.
Yeah, like they did 4 or 5 songs the first night, 4 or 5 songs the next night.
But you know what? If you think about it, due to technology, it wasn't gonna be a lot of editing. These people, you know, when you're doing music back in the day, it wasn't no 50 takes. It wasn't no punching.
But they would have the ability to edit some now, right? Though, you know, if they want.
I'm saying I don't think it would be a lot of mistakes made.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
mistakes made because
they're used to.
You on a budget.
That's right. Yeah.
And you ain't we ain't got we got $50.
Especially if Barry Gordon on your shoot. Hey, you better sing. Hey, sing the song like I wrote it, anime.
Right, exactly.
Right. With some stank on
it. Right. And I mean, I think to have Warner Brothers there too, and James Cleveland, he was even like, look, you know, we got Warner Brothers in here. If you see cameras,
if you see the police around. If you see the police, Warner Brothers. Hey,
Warner Brothers.
But you know, this was business. No, we can have fun, but also, hey, we got something we gotta.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were talking about them finances off camera. I'm pretty sure they was.
Again, this couldn't have cost a whole bunch, you know, based on how they did it. They did. She was doing. Warner Brothers probably should have been salivating at the mouth to be able to. They probably didn't even know what they had back then. To be perfectly honest.
You know what?
Probably. Oh yeah. No,
I thought about that. I thought about that as well. I think they did know what they have. I think because again, like you ain't rushing to see Aretha Franklin because she's ours, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They knew. Think about it, man. If you put money into recording this, you knew exactly what you were recording. Right. They didn't know what they were recording.
You looking for what you're gonna get from this recording. Are you looking forward for whatever the money you putting in on the front end?
I wouldn't be surprised if this recording doesn't come up again in some conversation or something happens down the road. Because even when, I was gonna say before she passed, and maybe at her passing, this came up again. That album was mentioned again, and of course, like Doc said, and I believe Doc was saying this, how she returned back to her roots after that moment, that turbulence that she had. And it's just a significant point. I heard people, it was also became a running joke, but they said that about Whitney too. They said, man, if Whitney come back and that gospel album gonna be fire. Like it's gonna be.
I wish she would have.
Hey, it's gonna be ridiculous.
I wish she would have.
Yeah. So I've seen that. So that I can definitely understand.
Have Sissy featured on a couple of cuts.
Yeah. Shout out to Poetic Sins. Thank you for tuning in. If you're in the Facebook group, do us a favor, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook so we can see who you are. There's a link in the description of the show just so we can give you a proper shout out.
Unless you're on probation, you can keep that to yourself.
You can stay in the background, singing in the background. Yeah,
singing in the background.
So when they did "What a Friend We Have in Jesus," that hymn, I remember seeing that. Back in church, during my growing up. But I felt like they hit. I don't know how many songs they did, if they included all of them or snippets or what, but that was definitely a song I think they had to do. And again, it was just seamless. I mean, that goes to tell you the talent and how far she really was ahead of everybody in her group, in that generation. So
and I was watching this. Is this really the first, I guess, gospel album recorded live? I mean, I don't know if there's.
I was thinking the same thing.
I would think so.
I don't think there was anything else that I can remember.
I'm willing to bet there's probably something, but because think about, again, because gospel wasn't that big, they might have done it out of necessity, not because it was a great idea. Like she did it from a couple of different ways. She did it from a standpoint, I got to go back and touch my roots, and I need the world to see who we are, so to speak. Like that's why she wanted to leave it raw with the praising and the, all that in it. And at the end, the song is over and she's sitting down, but the musicians keep playing. Right. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep singing. Then if you're right, keep playing, we're gonna hit this verse again." Right. Whatever. Right. So I think this one was probably groundbreaking in the sense of, from an artistic standpoint, and the reasoning why. Like I said before, it might have been out of necessity. We got to record here live because we ain't got nowhere else to do it. Whatever.
Yeah.
I got a question. Ben just mentioned.
You mean CeeLo Green?
If y'all watched the award show last night, there was a guy named Tell Him King said it. He called me CeeLo Green and Ruben Studdard.
Wow.
Hey, he had a whole stand-up set.
Yeah, so he lucky. He's lucky I let him make it, because if I'd have got the mic back, I did get the mic back, but I was more concerned about time at the point. But I was gonna say, all right, Rick Ross, baby, little cousin, with that medium shirt you got on, but he lucky I let him go.
Yeah.
But go ahead. You had a question.
Rick Ross, baby, cousin. Ben just mentioned of her generation. Is it just a generational thing, or is she the bar? Is she the Michael Jordan? Is she the Hank Aaron? Is she the
Michael Jackson? Is what a generational thing? A-Trap, the recording.
He mentioned her generational voice. Is it just generational?
Oh, no.
Is this the greatest singer we've ever seen, male or female? Because I've never heard anybody better than the Sister Frank.
And so effortless, So yes, I don't think being minute like that, to say of her generation, that's just I
was kind of saying during that time. Yeah. But I agree with you.
Of all time, yeah.
I mean, it was
her voice is so unique.
She was only sweating because it was hot. She wasn't sweating because she was nervous, or she was.
Yeah.
She's been doing it for so long. If we remember, we watched the Respect documentary. She was a movie. She had to have been 6 or 7, and she's singing in front of all the people. Yeah. They gathered around her, so she's had
about
this.
30 on this. So yeah.
And think about it. What I thought about during the thing too is that coming off the Mahalia Jackson, and remember last week I was talking about the uniqueness of her voice. And these great gospel singers, their voice is so unique. And I was just thinking to myself, that's how you know it's the Lord. They got so much that there's such an identifiable uniqueness that people can't. You can't imitate that. I want to see somebody try to imitate that hollowness of Mahalia Jackson that she got natural, or that thing that Aretha got, that quality, that innocence about it, that her voice is just so, man, you can't do that, man.
I don't think you can teach was just hitting the notes. Yeah, you can't teach that. You're right.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And
I like seeing her daddy and the guy sitting next to her dad. Every time she hit a note, they patting each other like that. You know, that's what black folks do. And did y'all see somebody throw their handkerchief from the choir stand at her?
No,
y'all didn't see that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, somebody from the choir stand threw it because again, remember, she's sitting at the piano. This was when she was sitting at the piano singing that one song, right? And so the camera is shooting her from this way, from the audience direction. So you can see the choir stand in the background from her, and all of a sudden you see this towel or handkerchief or something flying toward the camera in a blur, you know. And when she hit one of those notes, they just threw it. She's like, "Girl, you better," you know.
I have to go back. I remember something like that, but I was like, "What was that?"
It is the 70s. And in the 70s, women used to throw draws at Teddy P. Man, somebody throwing their draws at Aretha.
I hope they don't.
It was white, whatever they was. It was white. And it tickled me, man. I like they handkerchief at it.
That definitely. I mean, you feeling it because it was hot. Handkerchiefs was at a premium. This spot.
Yeah, they could have sold in for $17.50 a piece, couldn't they?
Man, easy.
A bottle of water could have went for $6 back in the 70s.
You got punched.
Especially as hot as they was dressing. You know, some of them outfits, like I know Clara ass was hot.
Yeah, and they wouldn't like fabric.
No.
This wasn't no. What's that breathable? This wasn't no.
Active wear.
This wasn't no big. This wasn't no big T.
This wasn't no rayon.
Polyester hot ass suits.
Right. And James had to take that coat off.
Wasn't no dry fit being worn back then.
No dry fit. Dry polyester.
Right. So man, when they get to Amazing Grace, I had in my notes, man, a grown man to cry with on that Amazing Grace.
Break straight down.
In a way you could if he was there too. If he was there too.
I was gonna say, man, imagine what it did to us watching it,
right?
A recording of it. Imagine being there and you're gonna withstand that. That's why I thought, again, bringing back to Mahalia Jackson last week when she was singing that song at that kitchen, and that dude, they showed the look on his face to where you can't be in the presence of something like that when it's genuine, man, and not impact you. You just
not
it's
be
impossible,
touched.
Man. It's impossible. You might fight it, but you're gonna have a lump. Your throat gonna be so sore. You're trying to fight that lump.
There's something that's bigger than us in the universe that it connects that spirit, man. I mean, when somebody hits certain notes and you get goosebumps, or somebody hits a certain note and you're teleported back to a moment. It's bigger than it's bigger than us.
There you go. Hey, Wilkes, it's like this. You can almost smell the wood in the church when you were hearing her sing.
Man,
you know that smell.
You know
you can almost smell it when you hear her singing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hey, absolutely.
And that red carpet, you can smell that.
Yeah,
man. There's been too many times that with my grandmother doing weddings or the church traveling.
Yeah, that too. Hey, Will, you can smell the fried chicken that they travel with.
Ooh, because they got it with them.
Lemonade.
Lemonade. Yeah, they got it with them.
It's kind of like when Eddie Kane was singing it. Is a hard in the house tonight.
Yeah.
Stand up.
It's just too. It's
big
too
noise again. What's up, man?
I mean, even with the things that we've watched and reviewed, we're full circle. I feel like we're full circle every week
on everything.
I mean, we watched the Mahalia Jackson, and there's Cab Calloway and Armstrong again.
Mm-hmm.
We watched Amazing Grace, and we just watched Respect. It's just or the Martin Luther King.
and C.L.
civil
Franklin
rights
mentioned Mahalia too.
movement. And they did.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's just too
and,
close.
and knowing the way we select our movies is just so random that
Right.
it's not. We're not intending to, try to. We're not trying to make that happen. It's just happened.
It's just
much in the way that the whole show came together. It's organic.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
Now doing
what you say, Trent?
It's being an ass.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Oh, that too.
I don't know about that.
Holla.
Yeah. That was a joke.
So
you never know how people are reacting to us.
Well, y'all say you and A-Trap.
Hey, don't get your in. Hey, Ben, don't. Hey, what? CeeLo, you don't think they can react? You think Eric will get mad?
I'm saying y'all single, so
CeeLo.
These niggas CeeLo in there.
He just slid it in there too.
Yeah, he was right in there, first place.
Hey, Gnarls Barkley was a hit. Man.
I don't want to look like that, Joker.
Oh, CeeLo, bad boy, man.
Pastor died in the building. We ain't seen you in a minute.
Pastor, we were looking for you a few weeks. I can't remember what. Maybe it was during the Mahalia Jackson thing I was looking for him, but I know I called out for Pastor Di because I needed him right quick.
All right. They mentioned the name Alexander Hamilton. And I wanted to look him up. He was the choir director, and he was also the arranger of the documentary, and he actually passed last year.
Texas Ranger? Said he was a Ranger. They in first place in the American League West.
Ranger.
They cooking over there.
Yeah. He offense, defense, he a pitcher. What is he? You big dummy.
Yeah. Play that again. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, you heard it. He said he was a Ranger.
But anyway, he passed away last year, 2022. Rest in peace to him.
I wonder how old he was, because
I'm not sure.
You know
looked him
what?
up.
He would have been older than Aretha because he was probably older than her at the time, or right at her age group.
Now, was that that was the choir
director? Yeah.
Wow.
And that's one thing I did appreciate, and I appreciate about us is normally, if somebody's in the building, we got shot them out. So James was very good at that. He was like, "Hey, this is Alexander Hamilton."
Yeah,
I'm sure he probably went into it more. Maybe they didn't have it in this. Claire Award, C.L. Franklin, and I think he shouted out some more people. But that's we just do that. We show love, and what this guy put together, and he was directing the choir too. If y'all peeped him, he was doing all the.
He was busy.
Hand,
He was doing the. When I'm finna tell you where we gonna go. He was speaking the words that we were about to say. But did y'all see that one part to where the funny looking person from the choir came out there and they were directing for a little while? Y'all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
y'all saw when they was marching in, they had to march in with a cane or something. Y'all saw them. With that same individual. We just telling what happened. We just telling what happened, A-Trap. You saw it? But y'all saw him.
You see it?
Not signing me up. I'm already trying to get up out the bottom.
Did y'all see him come out front and direct for a little while?
He did. He was there for a minute.
And I was like, what the hell? And Alexander wasn't offended by it. It's like he stepped back. But you know those times where you had a choir like "Give It to Me 4 Times" kind of thing. He was doing that on one of those songs.
And it could have. Now I have seen where sometimes they'd have to be a large enough.
Pastor Di said I've been in the basement. So you down there with Wilkes and Doc.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But say that again, Wilkes.
No, I was just saying. I mean the choirs are huge, but I've seen it to where they've had 2 directors.
And that's true. That's true.
Maybe just like you said. Kind of a trade-off, hey, you take the next song.
But he looked like he got down there easier than he marched in, though.
Yeah, he was limping there a little bit. He wasn't making it in too well.
I'm not.
I honestly didn't see that part.
Y'all didn't see him marching in.
Y'all didn't see him. Was that weird?
No, I didn't.
Like he went over a bump.
Okay, I'm out now. See, I go to the line.
I knew that's where I'm going.
I go to the line. I go to the line, but I'm not going to cross over that. And Wilkes will run slap over that. I mean,
I ain't messing with
I
that.
mean, you might as well.
Nope.
Why stop there?
Yeah,
I'm repenting
Jesus,
hard
but
out.
that-
Classic.
Why stop there?
Classic. Okay, so at the church, we wasn't no marching. We ran in, and if you was slow, you about got ran over.
Run over.
You
Yeah.
about got ran
Running.
over.
No, I'm talking about running.
Why they got you
Like running? Not no like you was excited to get into the choir stand. Like you
we was training. We was training like you was in a decathlon. We was doing we was doing Billy Blanks tapes and everything, man. Serious.
Choir rehearsals.
Thank God we don't do that.
Do you think that may have come from somewhere else? You know what that reminds me of? So. You know what? I take that back.
I don't know. I've never seen a choir run in.
I haven't either. But something tells me I've watched I've watched things that were based in Africa at some of those churches, or just even like in that setting, a tribal setting. Mm-hmm. I've seen that where they kind of run in, but it's like celebratory. You're just kind of celebrating. But I think that's kind of like where they're going with that.
Yeah, ours was celebratory. We wasn't running like Tony Dorsett or nothing like that. You know,
right.
You know, even though I was, because I do a head shake when I got to the turn up to the right. I do a little shimmy and then I go right.
A little juke.
Did a little Dion.
And from time to time, folks would take a spill.
I've seen funerals.
It happened.
Yeah,
it happened, and they got scored on too.
Yeah,
they got scored on too.
I've seen funerals. I've seen funerals like that too, where they kind of march in aggressive, or they run in. It's just, but it's of a different country.
I think we're trying to run the devil out of their head. He's taking all these folks coming at me. Maybe that's what we would do. Here we come, nigga.
Mika said that running made her nervous. She said I was scared somebody was gonna fall.
Oh man,
people did fall. That definitely was the thing.
Not as often as you think, though.
They didn't sign no waivers.
Sorta.
Yeah.
Sorta.
That's a conversation for the back.
Yeah, sorta.
Twist my ankle in this motherfucker. She's like, we got issues, doc.
We didn't tell you to do that. You chose to do that, my brother.
Yeah. That's fine.
Meet me in the tape.
I think didn't Big Mike? Big Mike took a bad spill one day.
Keisha not afraid. We sign waivers now.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah,
okay.
So the rhythm section, man. I know they had drums. I'm assuming they had congos or something, but it was it was kicking it.
It was her own band.
Yeah, that was her band.
Yeah, she brought her band. Her band.
Yeah, I mean, they was, especially at the end of that first night where James was talking. He was like, "Yeah, y'all better be here tomorrow," and they was just jamming. And this is the root, not just of gospel, but of music. Period.
Right.
Like this had every range of music. So blues. Mm-hmm. You talk about blues. You talk about jazz. You talk about hip hop. All of it comes from this.
Because he even talked about one of the songs where we're gonna sing it one way, then we're gonna come back and we're gonna sing it another way. You know, he kind of acknowledged that, you know, some of that crossover. And even one of the songs that I think C.L. Franklin, he said that's one of his favorite songs. We're gonna take it. You probably won't be able to recognize it. You know, we're gonna do something to it. You know,
and that's why I was telling, and that's why I was kind of telling Ben. I mean, and Doc and H-Rap could probably speak more to this.
Definitely want to come.
And you got older, but I mean, just like with the Commodores, or you had Al Green, like somebody, even though you had an album, but they would put a gospel song.
Jesus is Love. Commodores doing Jesus is Love on there, man.
Yeah.
That was easy as Sunday morning.
Yeah, that was a thing.
That's not a gospel
Sunday morning. Not a church song.
I know.
Father, help your children.
Right, thank you. Yes.
But
A-Trap. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Come back to us, Ben. Come back to us.
Yeah. Jesus is Love, man. That would shake you. I mean, in the middle of Brick House and Jesus Love come on. I gotta remember where we come from now.
You got to put Brick House first, and then Jesus Love afterwards. That's the one you play in the morning after.
After I done seen some of these brick houses, I know Jesus is real. He got to be real.
Man.
Gotta go to it again.
You going to hell by yourself, dog.
Oh, come on, he created this.
God.
I know there's a God
somewhere that provides all money.
All right, what's up? The music aspect.
When it comes to the music, you're right. When we grew up, Doc can attest to it. Most albums had a song to reach back, but it just shows how most people, as y'all stated earlier, most people got their start in church. Shaka Khan, Aretha Franklin, the Commodores. I'm quite sure the Commodores, because that's where you learn how to play the instruments at. And then you went on to school and joined bands, and then you went to Tuskegee and you made the Commodores. That's how Earth, Wind, and Fire got popping. So everybody always reached back, and then it just shows you the lack of spirituality in music today. That's what we always talk about. All these songs are not like they used to be, but there's no foundation. It's just a bunch of people trying to get paid.
Walk with me.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan Fest wrote that game. His name is Shay.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that.
Shay, a church dude. Shay, a church dude, went MC. Used to hang with him at this spot called the Elbow Room. Yeah, Shay, a dope dude.
Yeah. And I think too, choirs kind of took a step back. A lot of churches now, they got a praise team, but choirs are coming back. You see Kanye use the choir, even in a lot of live concerts or award show performances, they bring a choir. So that, I think that sound, you can't get that sound from 5 people. You just can't. You gotta have that choir, I think, to be able to bring in that sound that's coming back around. Everything comes back around full circle.
Pastor Don agreed with me. He said, "Say that, brother. He is love." See, he was right there.
Not on that part.
Yes, it was.
No.
I look at the time. Yeah, because the time. Yeah, he said it right what I was saying.
We ain't fooling with you, Jack.
We ain't
gonna burn with you, Jack.
He created the heaven and the earth.
And hell too.
But yeah, choirs are coming back. Wilkes, I know you're a music guy as well. The choir aspect coming back in music.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the foundation of. Let me back up. It's the foundation of that music, but it's also a representation of, as we talked about the choir and of heaven. That voice. There's foundation there, and choirs. Oh gosh, that was the thing when you had choirs battling each other, or you going to visit another church and you take your choir, they got a whole bus.
That's what's up. You finna jam. We done been a part of a couple of those.
Yeah,
where we travel to other churches, and we know we finna bring it here tonight.
Right.
Gosh, you wanted it. I mean, it got so big that look. My grandmother had tapes, but we all know Mississippi Mass Choir was tearing it up. Somebody's got a tape somewhere, at least. Yeah. If you got Mississippi Mass Choir somewhere, I don't care if you only have one tape, you got Mississippi Mass Choir somewhere.
What was that choir that made that song "Optimistic" in the 90s? Be optimistic.
Oh, that was
it was that Harlem choir or something like that.
I was gonna say, I think they were out of New Jersey or Harlem though.
Yeah,
but they were well-known. It's a well-known choir though. I think they're still around.
I don't remember that. Dalton Ben looked like they don't remember that song.
I don't.
I'm trying to find it right now.
Maybe he was off key a little bit, so maybe.
I can't sing. I can't sing worth a damn.
You just said "Sounds of Blackness." Does that sound like this?
Was it the Sounds of? Oh, well, then they wouldn't out. I don't think they were out of. Were they out of Harlem?
I'm gonna pull it up.
Oh yeah, it says "Sounds of Blackness."
Sounds of Blackness. Yeah, they were big. Yeah, they were huge. Oh gosh, Sounds of Blackness had many songs.
Oh, Pastor Dawes second that. Yep, Sounds of Blackness. We'll go with that.
I don't know if they've ever done anything with Kirk Franklin, but no, Sounds of Blackness was huge. They were big too.
Yeah, And that first Kirk Franklin album, you can play that whatever generation, whatever decade, you can play that album at any point in time, man.
Yeah.
And that was a whole nother, like we've been talking about these past couple of weeks. That was a whole nother resurgence of gospel.
The song alone, the reason why I sing that song right there was like on the radio every time somebody was coming to your church to sing that song.
Right.
Crossover.
It was just
yeah. Singing it, and they were singing it right or wrong, but they were trying to sing it.
But they were singing it. But it was big.
We mentioned that last night about all the church controversies, man. That happened around that time. You know, where they were like, this music don't sound like, you know, Stomp and stuff like that, you know.
Right.
You know, and all the praise team dancers was trying to use it, and you know, the deacon board.
Everybody was doing it.
Like, I don't know about this, you know. Yeah, there was plenty of church meetings that centered around Kirk Franklin music.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, it's a good comment right here. She says Ann Nesby was the lead singer. Then she sang "Put It on Paper" with Al Green.
Yeah, that was that's a late '90s, early 2000 song, I think.
That's what I say about that bud. Put it on some paper, man.
Oh, I thought you said pussy. I'm sorry.
Oh, God, man!
I'm out.
See, I'll go to the line.
I couldn't hear.
I said, put it on some paper, man.
Oh.
Like she just said, the bud, put it on paper. Oops. See, I'm see when it's bad when I'm the conservative guy of the see, and that's his classic too. The little emoji that is, they might as well change that picture to Will. That's his favorite. What I do.
Well, yeah, I'm like, what? Oh, sorry, viewers. I apologize.
All right, so when they did "Mary, Don't You Weep," that was another one that was.
Yeah. Oh gosh, another clap hit.
What?
I said you got CeeLo sweating, Will.
Sorry.
It's from us from last night. It's a carryover.
I apologize. Sorry, guys.
Oh, y'all didn't check out. Speaking of CeeLo, y'all didn't check out our little outfits last night. We had
I saw you Dr. Dre jackets. I saw you Dr. Dre jackets. Woo! Fire, baby. You know, I was surprised. I was surprised that it's nobody's business, but I thought they were going to be through the roof pricing, but it wasn't through the roof price when I sent you that link.
Yeah.
It wasn't crazy, but it was the exact same jacket. I was just like, okay, whatever.
Because I'm built like a upside down ice cream cone. I had to get mine custom made. Matter of fact, that's how Ben got one there.
I was about to say it must have been too small.
The regular shit didn't work. I'm like, well, CeeLo can wear this one, and I get mine custom fit. You know?
I remember when.
Like, man, they got the Dr. Dre Super Bowl jackets. I see you, baby. I see you.
Yeah, and we couldn't put them on until like 5 minutes before.
Yeah. They hot. I mean, it's 105 degrees outside. We can't be.
I mean, you got leather down the front, and
we would have passed
with a fleece on the side.
Yeah.
Man, don't want to cook.
All right. So I think towards the end, which they said some water spilled on the electrical equipment. Then he said, "Thank you for the electric." See, A-Trap. You see what Wilkes is doing?
Hey man, I'm out.
You see?
I'm not touching none of this.
You see?
I ain't cracking on nobody in no church, man.
He's talking about.
See, I'm not messing with that. Y'all cracking on. Y'all cracking on the Dunner man. Y'all cracking on the dude in the Walker.
Hey. James Cleveland. I didn't realize he had a list though.
I didn't either.
I told Ben it was a lot more prominent as he got older because from the younger tapes, it's not that prominent, but as he got older and like
for him to do what he did vocally with gospel music, considering to be perfectly honest, this may sound weird, but it probably served as an enhancement to make this stuff.
Oh yeah,
to make his stuff a little different. I know that sounds weird, but
no. You go to the group Queen, the band, the lead singer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Freddie Mercury had a overbite.
Yeah,
it was very well known.
No, that Joker was.
He was putting that operatic.
It was like Wilkes got a double whiskey sour. This was a double overbite. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
Hey,
his teeth are coming around the corner before he is. All you see was teeth coming around the corner, and then you say, "Oh, that's Freddie." I don't know.
I love to see you back now that I've seen your front.
Hey, and I'll tell y'all this too. If y'all haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody, you have not seen that movie.
Good.
If you're not a Queen fan, I don't care. You gotta at least watch that in. They mirrored that to that concert so perfectly that you gotta
Freddie
watch
Mercury
it.
is widely considered as the best lead vocal in rock and roll. Period. He's widely regarded as that. Yeah.
And I do remember Dutta Man. I don't remember what he looked like, but I do remember him.
Yeah, Chicken Man, Dutta Man. We had a lot of names.
Yeah, we had a lot of nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Matter of fact, remember that time we got offered $100 if we knew somebody's real name because we only called him by and nobody win the money.
Nobody knew his real name. Hey, it was nicknames all day.
No, we didn't know his name. We called him
all day.
Not bad.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts. I think we about rounded out. So final thoughts, Mike rating. We can go to A-Trap first.
Oh well, I do 4. Do 4 just because of the classic nature of it, the spirituality of it, the digging up of the storing of history, and the performance by Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin, I got mostly aunts, so I used to hear Aretha Franklin no matter where I went. So, Sunday morning, clean up, Aretha Franklin. Saturday morning, clean up, rather. So, 5, loved it.
You said
I meant 4.
4. You had a 4 at the beginning and a 4 now? Okay. All right. Wilkes.
I have to give it a 4. Of course, this took me back to when they recorded sermons on cassette. This took me back this took me back to visiting churches, concerts at churches. Maybe not live recordings like this or albums, I guess, but I loved it. Love seeing the clothes. I love seeing the worship at that time because that worship has stayed the same, really, pretty much. I mean, that worship, it was, it wasn't just we see Auntie Aretha, we see her, she's one of us, but that music, we're also, like he said, we were also here to have church. We're also here to praise, and be genuine. So, and like I was saying earlier, God knows it's bigger than us. The universe, I mean, it's continuously connecting. I mean, something could happen and it come back around and trigger that moment. I mean, like I said, there's a reason why you get those goosebumps or you had those tearful moments when listening to her sing or any gospel song, because, sometimes you didn't know how long the lights were going to stay on, and some of those songs like Amazing Grace and How I Got Over, those aren't just songs of feel good songs. Those are songs of like, hey, I had a long week, and a few people tried me this week, and just hearing that music, I mean, it's just, oh man, it's resounding. That's why I said, when I see people say, oh, God doesn't exist, I was like, he may not exist because you're not seeking him, but he's there. I was like, he's always present. So you can't speak to that person's situation and tell them that God doesn't exist. You don't know what that person has come through or dealt with.
Right.
I mean, Amazing Grace, that song alone is a blueprint or a backlog of events with our lives. And I hate to feel like I'm running on here, but
good.
Shoot.
It's I mean, that song, oh my gosh, it's just, I don't know. It took me back. I give it a 4. I mean, I remember hearing these songs and growing up and listening to these cassettes and tapes. And my grandmother had all kinds of live audio of sermons. I mean, she would clean the house, and that's what you're going to hear in the background. You're going to hear a live sermon, and you're going to clean the house. You're going to watch these window sills. So, I mean, that's just what
and the baseboards. Get down and get them baseboards.
That's what it was. So, I mean, and local people, Joe Bagby was always on in the morning. So we're going to definitely have some Heaven 97 on. So, it's just, oh, man. I could go on, but that's enough. I better stop. So it's enough.
Mika said, Wilkes, I'm about to shout.
Thank you, Beyonce.
All right, Doc.
For me, I give it 5 mics, man. I just think. Well, let me just back up a little bit. So, I'm in lockstep with Rotten Tomatoes. See, IMDb gave it 7.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 99%. Google gave it 80%. Again, I started at a 5. I stayed at a 5. I just think that the raw nature of it, the fact that it wasn't no talking, they let the story tell itself, and I just thought that was magical, to leave it up for your own interpretation, not try to influence you with anything, here it is, so I loved it, it was just, it was just fantastic. So it's a 5, easy 5 for me.
I appreciate you, Lily, tuning in. She said, talk Wooks. And thank you for doing the pre-show, going through interviewing people. You did a great job. You're the perfect person to do that. So we definitely appreciate you there. Those songs have gotten me through some days. Yeah.
Hey, man, I tell you, it's true. That's why I said it's bigger than us. This thing is bigger than us. I mean, it is one of those things where, like I've said it over and over, I remember this one time, it was just like, what manner of man is this? What manner of person is this that soothes my soul? He will lay his life down for me. You can't tell me, like, I'm sorry, it may not affect your soul that way, but that says a lot for somebody that wants to pull me out of the muck and the mire. I mean, it's like, man, that's big. I mean, and it does something to your inner man, because it's like, it's almost like an antenna, and it's just sending that signal. It's like, I'm tuning in. As soon as you tune into it, it's just something that kind of holds on to you. But that's just my interpretation. The songs are big. They're important. They're too huge. I mean, and especially with the older generation, and you've seen your parents work 3 jobs, work 5 jobs, mom's at work, dad's at work, but you got to step up, because as soon as she get home, she going right back out.
Yeah. And when they had the opportunity to sing those songs on Sunday, that's what got them through the
and think about it. Think about how much it moved the church when the singer would lose it. Like they couldn't even finish it. They couldn't sing because they just lost it.
Because you just succumb and overcome with that connection. I mean, that's why I said it's bigger than us in the flesh. It's bigger than that.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna shout out it was the second time I was at IBOT visiting. Tommy Young West was singing, and I told her this story when we were in the choir together, and she came on and she was singing a song, and all she said was "Master," and I lost it. I was for the next 30 minutes.
Right,
I was out. I don't know what happened for the next 30 minutes, because just that one, when she sung that first lyric, I was gone.
It's big.
It's just it just do that, man.
It does that.
Yeah, and so I'll say, man, this was I said this was gospel at its finest, but this was music at its finest. And to see James Cleveland in his element and just the way he ran with it, I mean, it had comedy, it had the music aspect, and like we're all saying, these songs touch you at a deeper point that you just can't get.
Right.
So, and I
matter of fact, a lot of
artists
back in the day would talk about how, a lot of their musical riffs and styles and stuff, they'll say we stole this from gospel. There used to be an argument back in the day too, where people were protesting and stuff, some secular music, because they're like, you can't do the Lord's music like this, et cetera, because it was such a ripoff of what was happening in gospel. So being to your point, to say this is not gospel music at its finest, this is music at its finest, that resonates.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And A-Trap, I know you got to run. Anything you want to say, or what you got coming up tomorrow on End of the Bench?
Oh, well, I'm going to just do a little piece on face recognition and the importance of unionizing places of employment due to the fast rising cost of living and the lack of health care, as well as pay increases and safety in the workplace. Talk about how I talk about that, and it's a little piece with child labor in regards to that. So that's all.
Okay. All right. Cool.
All right, man. Be like, love you, man.
Yeah, love you, bros. Love
All
you,
right.
man. Much love.
Okay.
See y'all. 2 fingers, 1 word. I'm out.
Peace. All right, so I'm gonna give it a 5. I was trying to find a way to lower it. I was trying to think of what could I nitpick or whatever, but it's a 5, man. And this, like I said, get this, listen to this. And I didn't even watch it. I mean, I watched bits and pieces of it, but I mainly listened and basically laughing, the emotions, taking you back to the when I was in the choir as a teen, as a kid, and we marched in, and we was first learning how to march. And I mean, it was just like it brought back so many memories. And her voice, you know, we talked about it tonight. The greatest. I mean, the range and the tone and the ease of it. And this is her gift. Some people strain and they gotta go through vocal lessons. I highly doubt she wouldn't do vocal lessons. She was at 7 years old. She was entertaining the crowd at the house party. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with a 5. Let me get to some comments here. Mika says she was mediocre. That was in response to Lily doing the pre-show.
Wow.
I watched all that. I actually watched that this morning when I was getting ready for work. That's what I watched because I didn't get an opportunity. So that was fantastic.
Yeah, she did a great
Especially
job.
the part where she came and found me and Ari got on together.
Lily said anytime. I was happy to do it. We appreciate you. That was the release. And that Sunday. Yeah. When you got to sing that song or those songs.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, man. That was such therapy, man, to be in that choir stand. You know.
Oh man. Yes.
Singing.
Yeah.
It said Mika said Wilkes that the hits bring back the best memories in Tulsa with Big Mama. Won't Complain takes me down every time because Big Mama sung that in her gut. Yeah, Won't Complain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's just the music. I mean, we've seen it even if covering our ancestors. I mean, music was a code, a Morse code. Music was a healing. I mean, it was everything. It was just, it was a story between, hey, you know, your child and God. It was just like, your child is, I know you see me, I'm hurting a little bit, or I'm doing well with the things that you've blessed me with. And I know you see me and you keep on blessing me. And I mean, it's just so much.
Yeah. I mean, these songs were sung from pain, from joy, from everything that you experience.
Yeah, and see, it's ironic that we're saying this when we're reviewing a movie about one of the best singers of all time. But something about gospel music in these churches and stuff, it wasn't necessarily about who was the best pure singer either.
Right.
You know, it wasn't about that. It's because where they were coming from with it and the authenticity in what they were singing is what made it good.
Right. And to Doc's point, because now that he said that, I've kind of realized that now, it wasn't because, they're an awesome singer and I want to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like you keep telling that story because I know that story.
Yeah.
We may not have the same story, but I know that approach. I know those similarities in that story. That singing that you're belting out, where that's coming from, you pulling from that.
Yeah.
I know what that is.
Think about how many people lost it in the church when we say, you don't know my story. Just that first.
Oh my God.
All we did was sung that line. And half the church was slayed.
That messed me up. That messed me up every time. I never made it through that song.
Yeah.
And that's the perfection, I think, in that moment. Because it's like, you don't know my story, I don't know your story, but we all have this story. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about this just because some of this I had to listen to and drive as well. But you just, to me, that verse just kept coming to me from whatever you loosen on earth, you loosen in heaven, and whatever you bind on earth, you bind in heaven. So it was just one of those things where it's just like that, just listening to these songs and listening to that music. And it's like, Lord, I choose to loosen love on earth because I don't want to have that bounds me. I want to loosen that. I want to spread that, you know,
that's the word, man.
You know, it's, I don't know. It's a lot.
That's a rhema word, homeboy. I mean, it's a right now, on time word. That's what's up.
That's it, Wilkes. It's our story. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, when it comes to the hymns, to me, the hymns have so much of I think a deeper meaning and feeling to it, because somebody's writing those lyrics are coming from something that they went through.
Yeah, and that tie what Wilkes just said about loosening it on earth, that just ties it back into what I said at the beginning of the show about our enslaved ancestors picking cotton in the middle of the field, yet still singing, still choosing to be joyful, still choosing to release this on earth, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. And
probably Wilkes, hold up with the reason why you in your nugget bag. Go ahead and show him. It's because he's on that double whiskey sour. That's why. I once had a preacher tell me, he go, boy, I done preached some of my best sermons high.
man. Yeah, it's just so much, man. I mean, just listening. And I'm so glad I was raised in a family where generations were still alive and I was able to experience those generations before they passed. I mean, I love those family reunions down in Terrell growing up, you know, so just seeing that and then going to church on Sundays because it was a 3-day event. And just, like I said, visiting other churches with my grandmother and my mom and just going with the choir and places like that. I mean,
it's nothing. It's nothing like going to church with your grandmother or your grandparents because they, the way they worshipped or the way they felt. I mean, it definitely rubbed off on you. So
it was definitely it was a big thing. I mean, it was the center of all things. I mean, I worked a long week. I put in long hours, but now when I get to that church house, I'm gonna cut up.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't know if y'all caught this part on the broadcast last night from Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, but I told him, you know, I asked Pastor because I knew it had been in the family for a long time and our ancestors had been worshiping in that church for a long time, and it's been 100 years.
Wow.
Since my ancestors have been worshiping at church. I said, so when I'm in here, I said, you see some cut up. I said, but whenever this music, this gospel starts going on in there, I said, it hit me different, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
We got a grandmother who we've never laid eyes on. She passed away when our aunt and uncle was a day old. So whenever we are worshiping at the same place that she worshiped, that's our connection, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So being in that church, it's
that's why I said it's bigger than us. It's so much bigger than what we think it is. I mean, we couldn't wrap our mind.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, we can't even fathom it. We can't.
Quantify it.
Right. All right. So coming up next week as we continue Gospel Appreciation Month. We will be doing the Clark Sisters, First Ladies of Gospel. It's available on Hulu, Amazon, and Lifetime. So if you got Lifetime, some of the ladies maybe. And we, I mean, it's true.
It's awfully sexist. I feel like men can't have Lifetime, but go ahead, CeeLo. You stand on that.
I'm standing on that one.
Stand on that.
But if anybody would be interested in coming on for this to give a female perspective, we would definitely be interested. So I may reach out to some people, or if you want to send one of us a message, we would definitely love to have you on. Mika said, I love this month. Y'all, this is good. Yeah, it is. All right. Queen 3 and King tomorrow.
Yeah, so I will be out for the forecast next week because I will be in Miami eating some eggs over Miami. See what I did there, Will?
I love it.
All right. So tomorrow on Queen 3 and King, a good one. Have black men abandon black boys. Have black men abandon black boys with special guest hosts Eric Butler and Justin Caraway. Eric Butler of Perspective Podcast and Justin Caraway of the Elevate Podcast. So this ought to be a good one, you know. So excited about that one tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time, right here on BS3 Network, Roku TV, YouTube, and all your social media platforms. I'm still gonna clown, but it's gonna be a serious topic.
I was gonna say something there, but I let that roll. It was actually about the topic because as I'm hearing that topic, as he says, you know, have black men given up on black boys, but unfortunately, maybe in an aspect, if they're trying to get back at if it's I don't know, different scenarios.
Just come with it tomorrow. We got just please offer your opinions tomorrow.
I'll save it for tomorrow.
That's gonna be a good conversation.
And if it get good, I might send you a link. And if you start getting too good, I might send you a link and say, "Come on."
Come on.
I have to say it right now, real quick. But we'll get on.
Go
it.
ahead, go
my
ahead.
thing is that I think they give up on them when they're getting back at the mother.
Yeah, that's an aspect of it.
I think when
That's an aspect of it.
I think when they didn't plan for it to go this way, I think they do, and they think they're hurting the child or hurting the mom, but they're just really just hurting themselves.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But I'll leave that where it is.
Hey, got it.
All right. Also tomorrow after Queen 3 and Clean, make sure to tune in to one of our newest show, Body Talk Fit, coming up at 8:30. They should be back. So that'll be another great show tomorrow. Just be drinking.
Keep them. Y'all know that. Y'all don't know that jam.
We know this.
Yes.
Hey, if that wasn't copyright, we use that as an intro, but it gets flagged every time. All right, y'all. So we'll see y'all
Matter of
next
fact, they
week.
flagged Lily's entrance, her little pregame last night.
Really?
I think Sony Music Entertainment flagged it or something like that.
Yeah, I'm going through and
whack.
Yeah,
right.
Cutting that out. Most of it was when he played the songs in between.
Yeah, but no, they did. I'm talking about they did it to Lily's intro last night.
In the beginning?
To her part, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that don't even make no sense.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see you guys next week. We'll be back and we'll be looking for a guest, so I'll be reaching out to you. We featured our new promo last night, so we're going to play this as our outro, and we'll see you guys on the flip
next week.
Peace.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.